All right, good afternoon, everyone. I kind of like the ability to move around the last time, and because it's Christmas Eve, what better time to try a new method of operation? Um, supporting the quarter zip, semi quarter zip trend. This is our warm up pullover. I like it. It's nice and loose. It's kind of what you would wear to a track meet if you're warming up over a couple of layers. Maybe, if the Lord allows, we will have that opportunity in the future. And I got the slides on, which is a favorite of mine for walking around in the house. I don't wear them outside. I have a pair of white ones that I might. They have Velcro straps, so that's something that I like to switch into from time to time. Okay, so what we were talking about last time, I didn't tell you this, but I wrote it down as Texas Movement International High Trust Gaslighting. Okay, high trust is one of those coded words, coded phrases that Caucasian America likes to use to describe themselves. What they're implying is that because of their superior morality, if you live in an all white neighborhood, you inherently have less danger, you inherently have less concern about theft and all that type of stuff, even though those neighborhoods were built off of theft, right? Because mortgages and mortgage backed securities all happened from white flight, and that was, home equity is a byproduct of that racial kind of redistricting and gerrymandering. Remember the A and B neighborhoods, and even now commercial property is listed by AAA and A and B and all those alphabetical slaughter type of situations. So yes, it's a bit of a misnomer. It's kind of gaslighting in and of itself, but like I said, the Lord can take even the King James Bible and put some truth into it. So let's take the term high trust and let's establish some high trust between you and I. Okay? So we are in the holiday season. You may be with your family, and since the economy is tightening its grip on our neck every day and kind of gaslighting us into craziness, we got to think about what the end game is for that. What they don't want is for Hero to be a legitimate rival to Adidas, Nike, Lululemon, and all that type of stuff, because there is a sand nigger at the head of the table. So not only do they not want you to go into their house and sit at the head of their table, they don't want you to own your house and sit at the head of the own table that you paid for and your mother's life paid for as well. Thank you, Elgin Fire Department. Okay? So, what we're going to do today is think about the type of people that they want us to be in an ideal situation. Remember the 4 cents a day slave labor, 13th Amendment? We've got to reverse engineer that and go to the other side of the continuum. How do we do that? Well, we have to redefine what high trust means for ourselves. And that's why I said it's important to embrace kind of some of the principles of WASP ideology. Because even though the Jews kind of take it and manipulate it and kind of use whiteness, DJ Vlad is a great example, and he will never take down his videos because he needs the views and he needs the proximity to blackness in order to establish his cultural credibility. So I want you to take a look at DJ Vlad's videos, and I want you to look at how he describes the Jewish race when it comes to being white, when it comes time to avoid any type of black accountability. He says, I'm just a white guy, right? But when it's time to take advantage of being a minority, he said, well, white and Jewish are not the same thing. And then when it's time to talk about any type of black faith foundation, he says, oh, well, I'm an atheist. And then when it comes time to talk about religious persecution, he said, well, Jewish people have been oppressed many, many times. This is a very, very common tactic of trying to have your cake and eat it too. And so in my dealings with different employers and different businesses and municipalities and law enforcement departments, I've gone through this back and forth as well. So that's why I chose Texas Movement Performance as my primary focus the first 8 to 10 years of Texas Movement. Because if I focused on my internal development, whether or not my father steals from me, whether or not white America steals from me, whether or not black America allows me to be fully in the cookout, regardless of whatever celebrities say, and whether or not Jewish propaganda allows my glass ceiling to raise or lower, my body is my body. Because just like a woman who wants to have an abortion says, my body, my choice, I'm saying my body, my choice. And so Texas Movement Performance and the study of tensegrity, even though I had to go through a very embarrassing set of internships and be treated essentially like a child the entire time, even though I was well into my 30s, I suffered through that because I knew the education was worth it. And plenty of people in the 40s and 50s did the same thing in higher education. So I'm just merely doing my part. Okay. So for all of those who are struggling with that kind of corporate type of sabotage, by all means, trust me, I completely get it. Okay. So let's see. Maybe we can adjust the screen here so I don't have to yell from such far distance. So hey, so here's what we're gonna do. We got to talk about a couple of things. Emotional quotient, we got to ramp it up. Okay? Uh, think about everything you've been told about what a man is. Okay? You got a wife, you got a baby mama, you got kids, you got bills, you got all the things that are designed to compress you and stress you like this. Okay? My job is to use my advantages in not having any of those things to take on a more feminine role, to give you a buffer zone to have freedom to make a mistake. Okay, that's why you see me doing all these crazy things on live. That's why you see my Instagram feed is nuts. It's crazy because if they're not going to give me adequate compensation for views, I can express myself in a way that helps you. And if I can help you with my Puerto Rican white Crip identity, right? Get it? Remember? We can still have a healthy gang war, right? So we need to be emotionally intelligent. You're never going to be as literate as me because I've been working on this. Okay, Mark Lamont Hill, Amanda Seals, all these so-called black intellectuals, Angela Rye. You ever notice how they always just happen to do exactly what Jewish people say? So black people cannot be intellectual or spiritual unless there's Jewish involvement. And they certainly can't be public figures if that's the case. Okay? So every divine nine leader you have is a plant. Okay? And even though I had much appreciation for everybody, I recognized my glass ceiling with that social circle. Cool? So, what does America tell us we need to be as men without giving us any reward for it? Non feeling, absorbing of all pain, um, and then non expressive, and then non complaining. So, think about one of the parallels I've noticed in my time is that men and black women act very similar. Okay, so there's lots of passive aggressiveness. Um, there's lots of kind of, you know, deep. They're very similar. We'll go into that at a later time. I've got things that I need to take care of here in a few minutes. So we want to make this just an intro to high trust gaslighting. We'll call this a series. Okay, this will be our sermon series. The main thing I want to get across is that as we go into Christmas, that is when the spirits of demonic oppression really attack you because everybody is there together, and that is where your office of authority can be questioned the most. Because if you snap at that time, then everybody else has ammunition for the next year on how poor of a leader you are and how unworthy of respect you are. And I don't agree with that. I believe you are worthy of respect. I believe you are worthy of being followed. And that's why I'm so proactively humble publicly and why I've been such a faithful number two in every place I've gone to, from Sweat to PhysioFit to Park City's personal training. I have never ever taken the lead role in anything except for Texas Movement, and nobody ever was willing to help me with that because I was the leader. Okay? So even when I was at Sweat as general manager, the only challenge I ever had there, even though I was making money for everybody, was when I made a video saying, identifying myself as general manager and having the autonomy to put out a marketing video identifying myself as such. My job, according to them, was to just do the work while people who didn't even understand the concept of ownership called themselves the owner. So that you will deal with that a lot. You will deal with women that say, I want to be a 50-50 partner, not realizing that a 50-50 partner actually puts financial investment at 50%. Otherwise, they put in sweat equity at 50%. And that has to be audited appropriately because that's what I had to do for white America. Okay? And they'll also tell you to submit to Jesus before they submit to you. and that submission must be perfect in order for their submission to even begin. Kind of the same thing with banking paperwork. All right? So this can all get very frustrating if you think about it for too long. But here are some strategies that I've found that make it easier for me to go through this day to day. And I hope that you can take versions of it and scale it down or up for your level of skill. Okay? So this is all free game for you. Journaling. Now, it's very frustrating to sit and write in a journal like Doug Funny back in the cartoon, but a whiteboard is $20. One of these you can get for like 10 bucks. And guess what? The minute you write down even a word that's associated with the feeling that you're feeling at that time, you grab a washcloth and you wipe it off, and it is out of your brain. Okay? So the reason I have this like this is that now when we discuss this, once I put it on video, it's done. It never has to happen ever again. It's recorded locally on my machine, on YouTube, and even if they screw it up, I've expressed it. Okay? Sunlight. The sun is created by God. It is not man-made. It has immense value for us beyond vitamin D. Okay? Being able to just embrace the most powerful, power source that we have here on this earth, there's immense value in that. I'm in a cold weather climate, but still, it is worth opening the blinds at the very least if it's too cold to go outside. But it's even better to go on a quick walk, even if it's just to the mailbox at the end of the driveway, even if it's just around the block, even if it's just to your next, the next house over or something like that. You get out of your freaking house, walk around, connect with nature in the slightest way, and there will be immediate chemical balance that happens. Okay? Motion. We were just talking about walking around. I don't always sprint when I go to the track. Sometimes I do submaximal strides. Sometimes I do grass runs barefoot. The Jamaicans are very, very well known for this. And despite not being the most overly liquid nation, there's a lot of peace and happiness there. Some of that has to do with alternative substances, which I have no problem with. But also, there is a more healthy connection with nature there. Dr. Sebi, I'm learning more and more about his philosophy each and every day. Uh, however, people from the African diaspora, just because someone is dark skinned and has an affiliation to a certain style of methodology, uh, even I believe Victor Sebi has said that there are people that are affiliated with Dr. Sebi that are selling false products. You need to be very aware of these things, and people should be able to clearly justify with evidence without fancy Stuart McMillan terminology, okay, without Andrew Huberman level vocabulary. They should be very, very clear and concise. If they can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you should be very cautious. All right? Sunlight, motion, whether that's walking, you need to do, you need to get down on your hands and knees, do bear crawls from time to time. You need to have motion in your upper body, shoulders. You need to be able to go overhead. A lot of times we're sitting at a desk like this all day. We need to do things that open that up, okay? Things like sunrise, sunset against a wall, something like that. Also inverted push-ups. So get into a push-up position, walk your feet up the wall, kind of invert a little bit. All those things have very good value for blood flow. And if you're in one position all the time, blood pools at the bottom, okay? So we want to always be moving in such a way where we can keep that blood flowing and that circulation happening. If you ever need suggestions, guess what? Texas Movement Performance on YouTube has an exercise library right there for you with several different beginner options, okay? So there's no excuse. Pliability. Okay, now here you do have a slight excuse, but YouTube has plenty of yoga options with very attractive women in scantily clad clothing, which can give you an excuse when your wife gets mad at you because she didn't take care of herself. She is 175 pounds overweight and did nothing to maintain it. So you have the right to look at something beautiful. Okay? I'm endorsing it. You blame it on me. I'll take care of it. All right? Pliability. You need to stretch out your hips. Okay? You need to be the area around your glutes and your groin, because that's where the torso connects with the legs. That area jams together. Erectile dysfunction, prostate issues, all those things, low back, lumbar pain, all of that is because of compression. Gravity plus compressed posture is going to equal problems, like a traffic jam, okay? It's just common sense. So you need to open that area as much as possible. Okay, we're doing good on time. Finally, the last two, okay? Rest and submission, okay? The Bible is right. Men should submit to the Lord first, okay? You do not owe a woman an outline or an audit on how you are submitting to the Lord. If you are submitting to the Lord, the fruit of that action will be there. Okay? You have the authority of your office that you must take in your own home. And if your significant other is not respecting that, it's up to you to figure out how to enforce that authority. If you are submitted properly under spiritual alignment, it will become much more easier for you in the moment to enforce it. Okay? That's been my experience, and I'm saying this as an unmarried man, so I'm healthily stepping back from that boundary. But I want you to know that I've witnessed it in action to a partial degree, but I've also witnessed a woman respecting that authority to make up for it, and that's what gave me the complete equation. So in a perfect world, those two halves meet, yin and yang meet, and they create the whole. Okay? Uh, Finally, don't underestimate the value of rest. America teaches overtraining. That rocky bullshit needs to stop. You do not have to keep getting up round after round after round to fight unless it's for the most important things like your value system or your immediate physical survival, which is the only thing I'm fighting for right now. Okay? I'm not fighting for TMI's EBITDA. I'm not fighting for any particular revenue stream of Hero or Texas Movement Performance or consulting or media or FounderLink or reparations or distribution, even though I have a right to. Okay? And you all know that. But I don't have energy at scale to focus on all those discrepancies before I focus on my alignment with, because I'm not going to take on the Jews without the Lord. And you should not take on any enemy without submission to the Creator. And we have a Creator that took a day of rest for a reason. 6-7, remember? 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. So you need to respect the bodies, need to recharge. Get yourself some zinc, okay? Maybe some magnesium at the end of the night. Valerian root, something like that. There's lots of good herbal remedies for relaxation and sleep. If THC helps you, great. But just like any other drug, we don't want to get addicted to that. Alcohol will keep you up at night. Okay, it does kind of calm the nerves a little bit, but you'll stay up. There's sugar and all that type of stuff. We want to be very careful. Okay, rest and submission. Submission can also think about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, when you are, whether you're a very strong person or not, if I went into a dojo, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu facility, and Joe Rogan was there, or anybody of that caliber, even if a student that was 10 years old or 12 years old, or a woman that was only training for 3 months, and I walked in off the street, feeling all tough, that woman would submit me immediately because of my lack of understanding of that language. So submission is natural. The first time I got into a boxing ring, I did not respect how much time it took to become a quality amateur fighter, and a person that was almost 20 pounds beneath me whooped the shit out of me in front of hundreds of people. Okay? So life is going to submit you whether you want it to or not. Are you going to learn from that submission and get better? Or are you going to be a little bitty bitch and turn that into a cancer that festers in your soul that's going to turn into erectile dysfunction later? Trust me, I've gone through the roller coaster already. So that's all the time we have for today. That is High Trust Gaslighting, Lesson 1. And that's our emotional quotient ramp up. And I hope that you can take this information during your Christmas and hopefully through your new year and apply some peace to your own personal life as we all enter 2026 together. Okay? Thank you very much.